What is a hero? A mythological figure, often of divine descent, endowed with great strength or ability? An illustrious warrior? No. It's a person admired for achievements and noble qualities, one who shows great courage. Welcome to the What's a Hero podcast, where we dive deep into what a hero is and what makes them that hero. I'm your host, Ken Frownfelter, and I'm going to be introducing you to some of the world's most likely and unlikely heroes. You may have never heard of them before, and they most likely have never met you. But they all have one thing in common. They are ready to do whatever it takes to help make you better, even if it means sacrificing everything for you. Let's get into it. This is episode 64 of the What's a Hero podcast, with me, Ken Frownfelter. Rules? More rules? Really? Isn't life complicated enough, restricting enough, without abstract rules that don't take our unique individual situations into account? And given that our brains are plastic and all develop differently based on our own life experiences, why even expect that a few rules might be helpful to us all? People don't clamor for rules, even in the Bible, as when Moses comes down the mountain after a long absence, bearing the tablets inscribed with 10 commandments, and finds the children of Israel in revelry. They'd been Pharaoh's slaves and subjects to his tyrannical regulations for 400 years. And after that, Moses subjected them to the harsh desert wilderness for another 40 years to purify them of their slavishness. Now, free at last, they are unbridled and have lost all control as they dance wildly around an idol, a golden calf, displaying all manner of corporal corruption. I've got some good news, and I've got some bad news, the lawgiver yells to them. Which do you want first? The good news, the hedonists reply. I got him from 15 commandments down to 10. Hallelujah, cries the unruly crowd. And the bad? Adultery is still in. So rules there will be, but please, not too many. We are ambivalent about rules, even when we know they are good for us. If we are spirited souls, if we have character, rules seem restrictive, an affront to our sense of agency and our pride in working out our own lives. Why should we be judged according to another's rule? And judged we are. After all, God didn't give Moses the 10 suggestions. He gave commandments. And if I'm a free agent, my first reaction to a command might just be that nobody, not even God, tells me what to do, even if it's good for me. But the story of the golden calf also reminds us that without rules, we quickly become slaves to our passions, and there's nothing freeing about that. And the story suggests something more. Unchaperoned and left to our own untutored judgment, we are quick to aim low and worship qualities that are beneath us. In this case, an artificial animal that brings out our own animal instincts in a completely unregulated way. The old Hebrew story makes it clear how the ancients felt about our prospects for civilized behavior in the absence of rules that seek to elevate our gaze and raise our standards. One neat thing about the Bible story is that it doesn't simply list its rules, as lawyers or legislators or administrators might. It embeds them in a dramatic tale that illustrates why we need them, thereby making them easier to understand. And this is the foreword, the intro to a book called 12 Rules for Life. It was written by Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. And no, unfortunately, I don't have Dr. Peterson with me today. However, I did find that this would be a very pertinent beginning to this episode, as I want to go over a couple things that are rules that we should know, that we do know, that we should attempt to raise our families up by. We should attempt to hold ourselves at that standard. And aside from, the 10 Commandments, which are all good rules, we all understand that we should be following those. You don't cheat on your wife. You don't murder people. You don't covet your neighbor's stuff. You see they have something in, you know what the 10 Commandments are. If you don't know what the 10 Commandments are, I encourage you to get your Google machine out, pull that thing out, and look through what they are. They are everyday rules for all of us that we could be living by. Aside from that, there are a number of other rules that are just plain good that heroes abide by, those that support the heroes that abide by those. And that helps our virtue, and that helps us become that much better. Now, these rules that I am going to be going off of today were written down and brought to my attention by a gentleman named Tim Kennedy. Once again, I don't have Tim Kennedy with me today on the podcast, which would be awesome. I would be very honored to have him on. However, I don't have him on today. But he wrote down a number of rules that he's kind of been raised by, and he has chosen to raise his children by. If more people were to follow these rules as more of kind of an idea of just how to treat people, how to live your life, how to be a better person, we would have a lot fewer problems than we already have. So those of us that are in the first responder world would be able to look back at it and say, it's easier to do my job. My job is actually not as bad as it used to be because people are following these rules. Now, obviously, rules are there for a reason. So we don't just go half-cocked into the world just doing whatever it is, as that portion that I just read in 12 Rules of Life suggests. However, there is a good and a bad, as some people would say, a dichotomy that shows that when you go all out for one direction, you're leaving something out. So you don't want to be so rule-laden. The other hand, you don't want to be so open and free that you have no governing factor over your own life because, hey, whatever is whatever. No, what I'm talking about is that way to treat people, the standards in which to hold yourself, because a standard is important. To have your standard, to where you sit, to where it is that you say, I am not going to go below this level because this is where I see myself. This is how I would like people to see me as well. And it's not so much about caring what other people think, but it's the standard that you want to hold for your life. And I've mentioned this several times with several other people that have been on the podcast, but this is a situation in which one can look at how to live their life and say, I like that. I want to try to adopt that. I want to try to be better. And hopefully some of these rules can actually be good for you. And then some of them you're going to look at like, hey, I already do that. That's awesome. Nevertheless, I'd say let's get into it. Basically, Tim Kennedy starts off with, these are the rules I was raised with and that I'm trying to pass on to his own children. Number 1, humans are more important than hardware. Bottom line, what is a company's biggest asset? It's not their fleet of vehicles. It's not their money in the bank. It is their people that work for them. What is a police department or fire departments or the military's biggest asset? What is a school's biggest asset? The people that they've trained to be there that do the job. You can have all these vehicles, you can have all these tools, you can have all of these skills, all these things that, hey, we need this training. We have computers and we have desks and we have all these things either in our school or in our departments or our bases. But the ultimate thing, those things are worthless. All that stuff is worthless until you get the skilled operator to do the job. Humans are more important than hardware, and we need to treat them like that. We need to treat people like they matter more than the stuff. And a lot of times, and we've talked about it on here as well, there are places that care more about a vehicle when a check engine light comes on that vehicle more than they care about that check engine light that comes on the person. When something's not operating to the maximum efficiency, take a look at it. Your people are more important than your hardware. Keep an eye on your people, and you won't have to worry about anything because they're going to be taking care of all the other little things. Take care of your people. Humans are more important than hardware. Number 2, quality is better than quantity. I heard a story today, and it was this girl was telling me the story about whether she'd watched the video or seen a meme or something like that. And that meme or that story basically had this guy, and he was telling this story about how you sleep, 8 hours a night, if you're lucky. Some people don't, I don't, but we sleep 6 to 8 hours a night. So that's a third of our day. So by the time you're 30 years old, you slept for 10 years. By the time you're 60 years old, you slept for 30 years. I'm sorry, 90 years old. That would be, I'm going to do my math correctly. Nevertheless, that's what this guy's saying. He said, think about it. If you've slept for all that time, that means that meth heads live longer lives because they're awake all the time. I get it. However, my rebuttal to that was, okay, I understand that, but what kind of quality are they living? What kind of quality life are those people living that if they're up and they're scatterbrained all the time, they're actually accomplishing nothing, and they're spending all that time just being awake and trying to occupy their time by scratching paint off the wall or whatever. There's no quality in that. So I understand the analogy that she was trying to explain. However, quality means more than quantity. Yeah, you might get your sleep. You might not get your sleep, whatever the case is. But if you are so tired because you're not getting your sleep, but I'm awake all the time, I'm doing all this stuff, there's no quality there. However, if you're sleeping so much, I get so much sleep, I sleep a good 12 hours a day. What quality life are you living within that 12 hours? If you, let's say you work 8 hours. I don't know too many people that do work only 8 hours. They put a lot more time in. So let's just say 8 hours. That's 4 more hours to do everything else you need to do between eating, getting ready for work, traveling to work, doing anything else you need to do. What are you producing? Or are you just consuming? So the bottom line is quality is better than quantity. And I'm not just talking sleep. I'm talking about anything that you do. I could be busting out podcast after podcast after podcast. But is there any quality to it? And I always have to go back and look at it and say, okay, was that one any good? I need to do better on this one, or I need to do better here or there. I was actually told the other day, hey, maybe you could, now that you have a better setup than you when you first started, maybe you can re-record your intro. And I'm thinking, that's not a bad idea. Maybe I should re-record my intro because I have a whole new setup, a bunch of new gear, which is cool. But I need that kind of thing in my life. Somebody speaking into me that feels honest enough to say that. So I'm willing to take a look at that and figure out how that would work and how it would sound and all that different stuff. Do I want to change the intro altogether? Maybe I do. I don't know. Nevertheless, I can be churning out podcast after podcast and say, hey, I've got 172 and they're all, but they're not worth listening to. Nobody's listening. Only those of you that, hey, I know Ken, he's kind of a nice guy. I'll download his thing, but I'm not really getting anything out of it. No, I want you guys to get something out of it. I want there to be some inspiration, some motivation, some kind of something you can take away from this. So it can't always be just quantity, just pumping things out. That's what Disney did back in the 90s when they started making all these direct-to-video sequels to all of their movies. Does anybody remember those movies? Honestly, I don't know. I mean, they might talk about this or that, but they were always, that's all a whole bunch of Disney movies that you're going to find at yard sales and stuff like that. The originals are the ones that are going to be remembered. It was quality over the quantity. Number 3, special things, especially people, cannot be mass produced. Once again, that goes back to the one before. Quality is better than quantity. Well, special things, especially people, cannot be mass produced. You can't just make something great and just expect it, a mass produced thing, to be, this is going to be the best thing ever. No, the things that are of special quality, of high quality, are going to be, they're going to take time, and they're going to take some forging, and they're going to take some growth, and it's going to be some pain, and then eventually you're going to get to it. Think about the person that grows into become the great leader. Let's take Teddy Roosevelt, for example. He was a sickly child. He was unwell. He almost died. He was weak. He grew to be, he was a very city-born person, and he put himself through all these different things by going out into the wilderness and becoming a Rough Rider and becoming the leader that he was, that put up with no crap. But that had he not done that, had he just been another person just churning out, just churned out to go become the lawyer or the politician or whatever that he had initially been expected to be, well, then we wouldn't have the quality leader that we've had, the president, the quality president that we've had in our life. No, it took a lot for him to forge the person that he was. Let's think, another example would be, I don't know if you've seen Rocky Balboa, not the numbers, but Rocky Balboa when he was, not the last one, but the last Rocky, where he was Rocky, and he comes in and his son is working for like an accounting firm or something like that, and he's just one of the nameless few that are in the accounting department at this firm, and he's going through, and his son is just extremely unhappy with his life, and he's always casting his dad's shadow. And he gets mad at his dad. He gets mad at Rocky, and he says, you don't understand what it's like. And his dad comes back. Rocky comes back and says, you know what? You let people tell you who to be, and you let people tell you how to do what you do. He says, your life's not going to be easy. Life's going to knock you down, and it's going to keep you down unless you fight back. If you want to be just another nameless, faceless, whatever, you stay working there, but you are more than that. You can't let anybody tell you who you want to be or where you want to go. That's not you. Because that's the idea of what it is. And I understand that special thing. It can't be mass produced. You can't be just like everybody else. That's what mass production is. It's a stamp. You're basically a mold, and and everybody fits that. Or everything fits that. If you want to be like everybody else, go ahead and be that stamped mold. But you're not going to be anything special if you're just like everybody else. The difference is you have to be a little bit different. You have to make yourself different, and not different by weird. I guess you can be weird if you want to, if that's your thing, if that works for you. But going out of your way and trying to do that just for shock value, there's no value in that. Shock doesn't have a value. The value in being something better or different, or having that shock and Having good shock or being weird is what you're bringing to the table in order to help other people. That's where the special things, especially people, cannot be mass produced, makes sense. Number 4, competence under stress cannot be created after emergencies occur. You can't go back. Let's say you train. Let's take a SWAT team, for instance. And you train, you spend all this time training. When it comes time to be busting through a door, you can't go back like, you know what? I need to go get, 8 more hours of training because I'm just not comfortable doing this. It doesn't work like that. Competence under stress cannot be created after the thing is happening, after the emergency occurs. That's why you have to train. That's why you have to prepare yourself. In order to get ready for work on Monday, is it best to get your stuff ready on Tuesday? No. It is better to get your stuff ready on Sunday, even the night before. Let's say you got to get up early. Get your stuff ready. Have your clothes laid out. Know what you're going to wear. Have your day pretty much planned, knowing that you've got a busy day. Get yourself set up. Trying to go and learn or relearn or train yourself after the emergency doesn't help. We look at this whole Uvalde thing down in Texas, and we sit back and say, okay, let's figure out how do we work this based off of what we saw that day. Well, what we do is we can't go back in time. It doesn't work that way. But we can look back there and say, okay, where did it work best? Where did something really happen? Hey, Columbine was a thing that we were able to respond to a little bit better. Let's do it like that. Oh, you mean when the shooting happens, you go in? There's an idea, right? Not sitting back and waiting. The whole idea of, I know what I'm going to do. I know how to go do it, but I'm not going to do it until after the fact. Makes absolutely zero sense. Your competence, the things that you know, the stress is when it's needed the most. If you're choosing to wait and wait and wait and be indecisive in that stressful time, it's not going to help anybody, and it's not going to help you, and it's not going to be worth anything. Your value will be less than what you expect it to be if you take your competence, you take your skills, you take what you know, and you apply it after the fact. So competence under stress cannot be created after emergencies occur. You have to be prepared, and you have to work towards it. You have to know what you're doing. And if that's saying, you know what, I need to lose 20, 30, 40 pounds, but because I can't run, I can't really do much of anything if I needed to help somebody else out. But you know what, I'm going to start next week. No, I'm going to start, I'm going to start 1st of January. I know it's July or August right now, but I'm going to wait till 1st of January so I can have a clean break. And I know between now and how do you know an emergency is not going to happen between now and then? You don't know. So the idea is that you need to be preparing yourself now. You should be working out. You should be bettering yourself so you can help other people. What is your intent? What is your hope? To be available and be a viable help for other people? Which you should, which is a good thing to do. There are people that don't care, honestly. But the heroes that we talk to on here, the heroes that you, my listeners, may aspire to be, or the heroes in stories that we tell, they were prepared for it. And you go through all these stories and you find out one thing that is always the same, and that is that they worked for it. They had a hard time becoming who they were, and now they are at a point where they're able to give back and help other people. You don't know what the stress is that you're going to go through. And you might say, hey, Ken, well, I don't know, the stress that I'm going through is my family member passed away. You're right. That's not something you can necessarily train for. You don't want to train for it. You don't want to have to think about that. I get that. But you can harden yourself. You can make yourself tougher. If you go through hard times, you go through rough, and you put yourself in uncomfortable positions, you're going to be stronger. You're going to know what you are capable of as a human being to be able to go forward and do the things that need to be done and how to deal with those things. But if you sit back and you let everybody else do everything all the time for you, when that adverse situation comes, you're not going to be able to be of value to anybody because you don't even know how to handle stress. You don't know how to handle anything uncomfortable. Competence under stress cannot be created after emergencies occur. Number 5, you can't do everything alone. It's not bad to need help or ask for it. We have covered this time and time again on this podcast by talking to a lot of people who have said, had somebody not come alongside me and help me, or as I'm going through a traumatic event, had there not been people, or I know people that go through traumatic events and I want to be there for them, whether they're a peer support specialist or they're just a friend that cares, or they're a wife or a husband or somebody that spoke into somebody's life. The bottom line is you can't do everything alone. It's not bad to need help or ask for it. So ask for that help. No man is an island. And I tell the same analogy all the time. That big ship, whether it's a cruise ship, whether it's a Navy war cruiser, whatever, it cannot go into harbor to go get resupplied, to go offload its crew, or do whatever it needs to do it can't navigate all that little stuff inside of a port. So what it needs a tugboat. It needs a smaller boat to come alongside and just kind of help nudge it to where it needs to go, to be there for it. And what that does is that helps it get to where it needs to be, so it can replenish, it can restock, it can strengthen, and it can fortify to go out and go do what it needs to do. You can't do everything alone. Now, there's some things you can do alone. Absolutely. You can do some things alone. That's not a problem. It's the things that you have to understand that you can't do everything alone. And sometimes you don't want to do something alone. You need a helping hand. I knew a guy that he owned a construction company. He was just him. And he was contracted to build houses. What did he have to do? He had to hire some guys. To make sure that he can help build that. This guy was smart enough to build these houses, and he was good. So what would he do? He would hire like 2 guys. So over the time of a house, he would use 3 people, including himself, to build houses. Now that's not a lot. Now you'll see a whole team of people working on houses and just getting the whole thing taken care of. However, this friend of mine, he was able to get that out, but he needed some people because there's some things you just need another hand for. In his case, raising a framed wall or holding up, sheetrock or whatever the case may be. But you can't do everything alone. Ask for that help. It's not a bad thing to need help or ask for it. Ask for the help. That will help keep your trauma. That'll keep your stress down, knowing that somebody else is there. Not only that, but when you speak about it, it gets a little bit of the pressure off of you. They talk about taking the load, getting it off your shoulders, taking it off your chest, whatever the case may be. That's all metaphorical. But when you talk about something, even if it's with your spouse, you talk about it, you're going to be better off just opening up, getting that out there, to know that somebody else is in your corner. Because I will be willing to bet that somebody's going to say, okay, well, let's figure out how we're going to deal with this from here on out. And then when you see them again, hey, how's that going? Hey, I figured this out, or I was thinking about XYZ. Here's how I want to help as well. And everything will work out. You can't do everything alone. It's not a bad thing to need help or ask for it. Number 6, know how to shake a hand. Never do it sitting down. Grip firmly and look them in the eye. There are so many times I've met people or I've talked to people where they don't do that, or they'll stay sitting down. Or I shook a guy's hand the other day and I thought it was going to be a regular handshake. And when he shook my hand, it was the limpest fish I've ever shook. Because when he held the hand, he just didn't squeeze. He just kind of let it just flop into my hand, expected me to carry the load in greeting. And it was less than impressive, I guess would be the word. But I'd already had a mindset of how I thought of this person. I thought, okay, well, that's how they are. That's who they are. And then they shook my hand, and just how I thought was different. And I realized, okay, I understand how this person is. And you can gain a lot from talking to somebody and shaking their hand, how they greet you when like it says, stay sitting down. Is that the kind of person you want to be? Or do you want to have a weak grip? Or do you want to see, if you're shaking somebody's hand, do you want them looking away, looking down? I met a politician one time, and not a very highly respected politician as far as I'm concerned. However, I happened to be there, and I was working a detail. He came by and he said, "Oh, I always love the police." Shook my hand. Awesome. But it was he didn't look at me one time in the eye. He was talking to everybody else. And he just held onto my arm and held onto my hand, because he did the whole thing where he holds my hand, he's shaking my hand, but he grabs my elbow, right? But he's looking at everybody else and talking to everybody else. Didn't pay one amount of attention to me except for holding onto my arm, and I couldn't get my arm away from him fast enough. Nevertheless, I noticed I'm looking at him in the eye, and yet he's not looking anything at me, right? He had no intention of showing me the respect that I, as a human, aside from my uniform, that I would expect one man gives to another, by looking them in the eye, and when you shake their hand, being present in that moment. Now, that's a politician. We have a set suspect of politicians. And so, nevertheless, that's where we sat with that one. But talking with anybody else, when you shake their hand, look them in the eye. Be solid with them. Don't look down, especially down at their feet. Don't look at their forehead. They know if you're looking at their forehead. Don't look past them at somebody else. If you're shaking somebody's hand, you're in a large gathering or at a party or something like that. Don't look past them at a pretty girl that's sitting over at the bar or whatever the case may be. Shake their hand. Be present in that moment. Look them in the eye. Number 7, learn how to cook. Why is that important? Because you need to take care of yourself. You need to be able to take care of yourself, and you need to show the people in your life that you can take care of yourself. There's an old adage that says, and everybody's probably heard this, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a night. Teach a man to fish and he'll be able to eat for the rest of his life. Or as Ron Swanson would say, give a man a fish and feed him for a day. Don't teach a man to fish. And feed yourself. He's a grown man, and fishing's not that hard. But the bottom line is, take care of yourself. You should be able to take care of yourself. Don't expect other people to always take care of you. Don't expect anybody to always give you anything or do things for you. You should be the one that's working and should expect to do things for other people. Now, if other people do things for you, that's nice. That's cool. Very, very awesome. But be prepared to pay them back somehow. If they cook you dinner, you cook them dinner at another time. You should know how to take care of yourself. Learn how to cook because you need to eat. Number 8, spend 30 minutes a day reading up on current events, but know you aren't an expert. Know what's going on. Take care of yourself. Know how the world's spinning out of control. But you should also know that you're not going to know everything that is going on. You have these talking heads on the news and on media and whatever, and everybody thinks they know everything. They don't. You have people talking out of their class. You have people talking out of their level of expertise. And aside from that, and just a side note, how many people are experts in anything that they do? I read a part from Jordan Peterson's book today. Now that guy's an expert. He knows about clinical psychology. Or I talked about Tim Kennedy. That guy's an expert in modern warfare and MMA. Absolutely. But you see some keyboard warrior on social media talk trash about the police or whatever the case may be. What makes them qualified to make their comments? I pay taxes. Awesome. So does every single other person. So is every single other person supposed to in the United States. But the bottom line is that doesn't make you an expert on anything. But if you read a little something, you have some knowledge, you have some insight on what's going on. And I'm not just talking about watching the news, but read up on it. Read what's going on. Don't just let somebody else always tell you what's happening. Read up on it as it's happening so you're aware. You don't have to do anything with it, but you should know about it. So then you have some context when it comes to something else that you do need to do something on, or that's something that's going to affect you. You should know and have some context to be able to look back and say, oh yeah, I remember that 5 years ago, this was happening and this is where it snowballed to now. Have that knowledge. Spend 30 minutes a day reading up on current events. And that's not 30 straight minutes. That could be 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 10 minutes over here. That's negligible, the when you do it. Spend the time to make yourself a valuable member of what's going on in your society right now. Spend 30 minutes a day reading up on current events, but no, you are not an expert. Number 9, request the late checkout. Why? Why request the late checkout? And I know some of you probably just tried to answer that yourself, or you put this on pause and you said, oh, it's probably because of X, Y, Z. You don't know what's going to happen. And if you get out early, great. You get out early. And they're talking about the late checkout, hotels and things of that nature. But if you say, no, I'm going to check out early as possible because I want to get on the road, how do you know something's not going to happen? And you have nowhere to get back to. You don't have a base of operation. What if you walk out to your car and the windshield's been smashed or it's been broken into and you need to file a police report, or your car's been stolen and you need to get back? Yeah, you'll be able to go back and, but if you have somewhere that you can kind of work towards, or something else, you have a flat tire and you want to just get back to the room so you can go do this, put your stuff back so then you can go get your tire fixed or whatever you need to do. Which brings us to another point, which you should be able to change a flat tire. Nevertheless, take that late checkout. What if you need to sleep in? People were partying all night in the room next to you, and you're just dead tired. Take that late checkout. You never know what's going to happen. Like I said, it doesn't mean you have to go at 1 o'clock. Let's say the late checkout's 11 or 12 or 1 or whatever. You don't have to go at that. You still want to get on the road at 7? Get on the road at 7. There's not going to be a problem in doing that, but you don't have to be rushed. How problematic is it when you're rushed? If you give yourself a buffer, we call that space and time. Back up a little bit. Give yourself plenty of room to do what you need to go do. Request the late checkout. Number 10, be a man of your word. Make a promise, keep it. And that goes for the ladies as well. If you say something, be that person of your word. Make your word count, have value. If you are going to say you're going to do something and you're going to have it done by next Friday, then have it done by next Friday. Now, if something comes up, you said, hey, this was bigger than I thought. You should know this is going to be bigger than you thought. If you, let's say you know a quarter of the way through or halfway through the thing that you're doing, then what you need to do is go back and say, hey, look, this is going to be a little bit bigger. I'm going to need to extend this by however long you think it might take. And then that is when you are going to update whatever it is you're doing. But if you said, hey, yes, I'll be there on Thursday to help you move. I'll be there at 8 a.m. 1:30 in the afternoon is not acceptable. Matter of fact, 7:45, 7:30 is acceptable. Is the way you should do it. And I say, okay, come on, that's kind of old fashioned. You know, being there early is on time. Being there on time is late. Then so be it. Then it's old fashioned. But whatever the case is, you are holding to your word. If you say you're going to do something, you need to do it. You need to be a man or a woman of your word. A hero holds their word soundly. They don't say something just to say something to hear themselves talk. You say, yes, I'll do that. Then you go do that. If you don't think that you're going to do it, you're going to be able to hold yourself accountable to that, then don't promise you're going to do something. Then you tell the person, hey, tell you what, I can try to be there. I can't promise anything because I have this other thing also that I'm doing that day that I'm going to need to, I don't know when it's going to get over. Very good. Very cool. That person knows that you might show up. And if you're not going to show up, maybe you give them a call and you say, hey, I'm not going to make it. My appointment is going longer than I thought it was going to go. Or whatever the case may be. Nevertheless, your word has to mean something. And if it's not going to mean anything, then why in the future would anybody ask you for their help again? Or why would anybody ask you for your expertise again? It's going to be limited because the word's going to get out that you just can't trust this person. They're not reliable. Now, there is an adverse side to this. The people that are the most reliable, they get used up pretty quick. And then they say, hey, you know what? You were able to do that so well. Thank you so much. Here's some more stuff I'd like you to be able to do. You know, you have a boss that just knows they can rely and trust you to get the job done. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm glad that I'm reliable. However, my plate is overloaded and I need some help in doing this. Well, then this is where you subordinate your ego and you bring that back up to them and say, yeah, I'm not going to be able to get this done. Perhaps we can get somebody else that can help out. And that's okay. Nevertheless, you are being open and honest with the whole deal. But if you say you're going to do something, do something. If you say you're going to help somebody move, go help them move. You say you're going to help your 85, 90-year-old neighbor mow their lawn, go mow their lawn. You go do it. You said you were going to do it. I've met, I don't know how many people that get upset that somebody's holding them, say, hey, you said you were going to do this. Can I, say even money. Hey, I sold you that thing. Can I get that check? And then I was talking to somebody where somebody was talking about they had sold them a thing and they wanted the rest of them. They're selling it to them they're going to make payments on it. And he says, oh, I can't believe that person, man. All they care about is money. No, they care about their money. You said you were going to do something. Go do it. So of course they care about money at this time because that's what's on their mind because you've not paid them. But if you get past that and you follow through with what you say you're going to do, you will not have that issue and there won't be problems between you and other people because they know they can trust you. Once they get through that, if they realize they had to really push you, you don't have to worry about it again because they'll probably not work with you again in that respect. Follow through with it. Be a man of your word or a woman of your word. If you make a promise, you keep it. Number 11, hold your heroes to a higher standard. Now, we talk about heroes on here all the time. And those heroes, they just went in to go do whatever it is that they did. Because that was what they knew to do. And they're expected to be held, they expect that people are going to hold them to a higher standard. You look at the media today, and what do they do with police officers? I'm just going to take police officers in general right now. They sit there and they look at them and they say, oh, these guys did this. And so they look back like, hey, you don't hold the citizen to that same standard. No, they don't. They hold the police to that standard. Because why? Because they are expected to be better. They are trained. They have made the decision that they are going to be better. The same thing with firefighters. They hold that decision that they've made that they are going to be better and they are going to be there when somebody needs them. So they're holding themselves to a standard. So you should hold your heroes to a standard as well. And get that standard, set that standard, and have it be a little bit higher. There's that thing where people, I don't recall where I heard this, but what happened was that a school was talking to, they talked to a whole bunch of little kids. And the kids they said, hey, what we want you to do is tell us who your heroes are. And these kids were coming up with LeBron James and, various sports stars or whatever. And then a number of the kids, the number one hero that all these kids had was Ninja. And I had no idea who Ninja was, right? And Ninja, I guess, is from Fortnite or from a kid's video game. And that's who these kids' hero was. Well, the school then took those and said, okay, perfect. We have these answers. We're going to put them over here in this pile. Now, kids, what we're going to do is we're going to give you the definition of what a hero is. This is what a hero is. This is what you should consider your hero. And they said, oh, okay. Oh, that's good. I get it. I understand what a hero is now. So then they gave them the same thing. They said, who is your hero? 90% of those kids changed their answer to their mom or their dad. Most of them said their mom. And the moms were there when they were asking them these questions. And so that just, it brought it down to the fact that these kids hold their heroes at a pretty high standard because they see that's who the person that they're around the most is their mom or their parent. That being said, we should do the same thing. We shouldn't just willy-nilly just have anybody because they're a YouTube star or a TikTok star or a sports athlete or a politician or whatever the case. We shouldn't just hold them to some standard and say, hey, that's good. That's good enough. No, hold them to a higher standard. If they can't toe the line, then they have no business being your hero. Because now, on the other side of that, there is a part where they're going to be a human and they're going to fail. However, they're to be emulated, the goods that they do, the good that they do. Not just because of their title or where they work, but the fact of what they do. And if you hold that hero to that standard, that's the person you're going to emulate. Because if you start saying, you know what, they consistently operate at this level that I hold them to, that's what I want to be. I want to consistently hold myself to that same level, because our heroes are who we want to emulate. And so if you hold them there, then you're going to emulate that person that stays at a higher standard as well. So go to that higher standard, hold your heroes to there, and then hold yourself to that same level. Number 12, return a borrowed car with a full tank of gas. This one, this doesn't even need an explanation, but I'm going to go into it because I like to hear myself talk. Don't be a jackass. Somebody lets you borrow their car, return it totally full. Well, they only gave it to me with a half a tank. So what? Look at that last one we just talked about, holding to a higher standard. Hold yourself to a higher standard. Go fill the tank. Be better. Be better than what it is that somebody was to you. Because maybe they're trying to emulate you and they don't know. And now when you do it, they're like, you know what? That's what you do. Because one time I lent a guy a car and he brought it back full tank and I gave it to him with an empty tank. And you know what? I realized I was a jerk. And from now on, I won't be that person. So maybe you are being what that person needs to see by holding yourself to that higher standard. Return a borrowed car with a full tank of gas. Number 13, whatever you do, do it with passion or don't do it at all. And we kind of made mention of this earlier, or at least I did. I don't know if there's a we on this episode, but there's a me on this episode. And I mentioned this earlier, that you don't just do whatever. There's not just this willy-nilly way that you go about doing whatever it is you do. You have to have a passion for it. You have to have a reason for it. If you just walk around and let's take for instance, I'll give a visual on this one. Let's say you're at a wedding or at a cocktail party or whatever, and you see that guy that's just over by the table of food, right? And he's just popping shrimp in his mouth and crackers and cheese and meats, and he's just popping all this sorts of, just grazing at that table. Doesn't have a plate, just grazing at the table. There's absolutely, and he's not talking to anybody. Anytime somebody comes up to fill their plate or whatever, he just says, oh yeah, hey, the shrimp's really good, or hey, oh yeah, you should try this stuff over here. He's not really providing anything other than pointing people in the direction they're already going as it is. But if you have a reason to do what you're doing, now that guy might be passionate about his food. Absolutely. His waistline is proving it. But if you have a passion about what you're doing, you'll have a reason to do it. That is basically explaining your why. I love doing this. This is something that gives me great joy. This is something that I find value in doing, whether it's serving other people or doing, jobs for your elderly neighbors, let's say, or you're just providing something for somebody else that they're unable to do for themselves, or it is important that needs to get done for the greater good, that's what you're doing. You have a passion for it. You find that it is something that feeds whatever intrinsic value that you've already applied to it, to something else. Do it with passion. If you have to do the most mundane, boring thing at work, put a little passion into it. So, okay, I hate doing this, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it the best I can do it. I'll tell you, one of the things my biggest thing that I don't like doing at work is, let's say, protests, standing on the sides of protests. I know it's an important thing to do. It is one of the least favorite things that I have. However, you go to it, you engage people in a positive way, you be a positive person, You treat people with respect because you have a passion for doing what's right and what's good, or at least I do. I have a passion for doing what's right and what's good and being honest and honorable to people and respectful to people. Whether you agree with them or not, that takes whatever part that I don't like out of it. And I'm not focusing on that. I'm going to focus on the good. So whatever you do it with passion. Put passion into it. You got to go do the dishes because you got a sink full of dishes and you're like, oh my gosh, nobody's done dishes in the house for 3 days. Kids just keep piling dishes in the sink and they go to their sports practices or they go to, recitals or whatever. And you know what? I've got to do it. You roll up your sleeves and say, I'm going to get this done. We're going to do it good. We're going to do it well. And I'm going to find something. I'm going to find a positivity into it. Well, you go do that. You do it with passion. You find something good about it. Whatever you do it with passion or don't do it at all. Number 14, don't let a wishbone grow where a backbone should be. I remember one time I walked into an office and it was Halloween time and there was a picture of a skeleton on and it was a police department, not anyone that I work at. However, it was a police department in another city. And there was this poster of a skeleton like climbing these stairs or whatever, going towards some castle or something like that. And it was, kind of a Halloween-y sort of theme going on. And somebody said, oh, hey, is that the picture of the chief? And somebody else said, no, that thing has a backbone. And I thought, oh my gosh, how, man, it was kind of, I guess there's fun. There's a funniness to it, but you don't want to think about somebody being that way, and this person is no longer a police chief and they're no longer a police officer and neither one of them are, but that's neither here nor there. The idea was that the fact that somebody would be so cowardly that they would be seen as not having a backbone to support themselves. Now, the same thing applies to this. Don't let a wishbone grow where a backbone should be. Have a solid mindset about what it is you're doing. Have a firm stance that supports what it is that you are doing with your life. You're not wishy-washy, that you're not, at any minute before you get pulled one way, you would go one way, or if enough pressure was pulled the other direction that it would break you in half. You need to have a solid backbone, solid structure that is going to support you in what you're doing and where you're going. Don't be wishy-washy. Know what it is and why it is you're doing what you're doing. You should be able to explain your why. And then when you get to there, be able to stand firm on the decisions that you've made, saying, I'm going to do this because it needs to be done this way. Now, if somebody comes up with some other idea that says, well, did you think about this? And you said, no, I did not think about that. I understand why I can't go left now. I must go right. That's fine. That makes sense. However, if you dug your heels into the ground and you said, no, I'm standing firm on this decision that I've made, that I'm going to do this because this is going to be the best thing, because I've thought about all the options. This is going to be the best thing for my family. This is going to be the best thing that needs to be done. I'm going to stand firm on this decision and we're going this way. And if somebody says, did you think about this? Yes, I did think about that because I tried to consider all other factors and say, I'm going in the direction that I'm going because I'm solid in my decision and I'm firm in my stance on this. Don't let a wishbone grow where a backbone should be. Number 15, stand up when she enters the room, hold her chair when she sits down, and hold the door whenever she is coming or going. Do these things with humility and respect, knowing she can do them herself. Now, this is for the fellas. This is for the guys. you know that your woman is capable of doing many great things. And I've talked to a lot of women on here who they're tougher than a lot of guys I've met. And they are more stable and solid in who they are and in their character than some people that I've met in my lifetime. However, I do know that the men in their life know that they are capable of being who they are. But they're still going to treat them as the queen that they see them in their life. That they're going to treat them with the respect. You show respect when she enters the room by standing up. You show her the respect, the love, the admiration you have for her by holding her chair when she sits down, knowing that you are supporting her. And you show respect, admiration, devotion to who she is by holding the door whenever she is coming or going. Because by doing these things with humility and respect, you know that she can do them herself, but she doesn't need to because you want to support her. That's what a man who has a solid relationship with his woman needs to do. And as far as I'm concerned, that's how I see it as a man. Now, that doesn't take away anything that a female can do, that a woman can do. She absolutely can do all those things. But treat her like the woman that she is that you've fallen in love with and you are willing to do anything for because you respect her character, you respect her person, and you respect who she is because of the person that she is, because of her heart, because of her mind, her spirit, and once again, her character. Number 16, carry 2 handkerchiefs. The one in your pocket is for you. Let me go back. Carry 2 handkerchiefs. The one in your back pocket is for you. The one in your breast pocket is for her. You sit on yours. You get to sit on yours and do whatever you do with that one. You can blow your snot into it, or you can wipe your tears, whatever you do with your handkerchief, that's fine. You keep the one clean that you're going to offer her when she needs that handkerchief. And that's just classy. That's just old-fashioned classy. Be prepared to help each other out and give the person that needs help the better one, not the one you've been sitting on and farting all day on. Give somebody the best that you have. And it's just using an analogy here towards from a man to a woman in classic gentleman style. Carry 2 handkerchiefs. The one in your back pocket is for you. The one in your breast pocket is for her. Number 17. If you marry the girl, you marry her family. You marry her children. Now, obviously, you're not marrying her children. However, you marry her and her family and her children. They are all part of the deal. If you marry someone who already has children, they are part of the deal. They are part of the pact that you say you will love, honor, cherish, devote yourself, sickness and health, death do you part, all that stuff like that. You are now doing that with her family, with her children. Now, you may not get along with her brother or her parent or her parents or cousins or whatever the case may be. However, you are now, everything that you said about her, you are now devoting yourself to more than just one person. So see, when you get married, it's not just one person and one person being married now. And that goes for both. That goes for guys, girls, doesn't matter. It goes for both. If you're a woman and you're going to marry a guy and he's a single dad and he's got kids, you're marrying his children as well. You're becoming their mother, or at least their stepmother. But it's not just a one person thing. Hey, I'm marrying you. I don't I don't want anything to do with, your family or your family's drama. That's too bad. That's part of the deal. When I brought this, I brought this suitcase in, and that's where we get the term luggage. Inside all that, we have to unpack that the fact that we have my brother has, maybe been to prison, and they've got this issue, and then I've got cousins that do this, and then my parents are this way, and they don't get along because they're divorced, and you've got to deal with all these different things that now are part of your life. We had a saying about a family member, and we would say, you know what? He's this way, but you know what? He's ours. Nobody else gets to rag on him for whatever it is that he's done. He's ours. And that's just like the idea that when you're a kid and you've got siblings, you were able to beat up on your little brother or your big brother. I mean, I remember with me, my big brother was allowed to beat up on me. My cousins were allowed to beat up on me, all this different stuff. But nobody else was. And I'm sure we're not the only ones out there that are like that. We get to make fun of ourselves. It's like cops. It's like firefighters. It's like anybody that's close. It's like guys in the military. You can make fun of each other. You can point fingers and you can laugh at the way this person dresses or the way that they did something or they totally messed up something during training or whatever the case is. You can make fun of them. Nobody else gets to come in and make fun of them. Not allowed to do that. That's ours. Because they're in your family. They're your brothers. They're your sisters. But going back to this, if you marry the girl or the guy, you marry their family, their children. You get the whole package. Not just the one. It comes with everything. So if she's the most beautiful you've ever seen, she's great in everything she does, and you feel fantastic being around her, and she's just the one in every aspect of the way. However, her kids are absolutely out of control. And you don't want to have to deal with the kids. That's too bad. You get to. If you want everything that goes good, you get everything that goes bad as well. You marry the whole package. Number 18. Be an oak. Your strength lies in your foundation and your roots. Be the oak. What is it that you are building, whatever it is you are building yourself on? And I've talked about it before on here. The people that you hang out with the most. They say that we are the average of the 5 people we hang out with the most. Think about those 5 people in your life. Who are they? Are they, let's say you're a teacher. Are you hang out with 5-year-olds the most? Do you have conversations about boogers and drawing and coloring and numbers and the alphabet more often than you have conversations about finances and adult topics? Because the most that you do is hang out with 5-year-olds. Let's just say that. But you're going to be the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. Now, it could be 4 people, it could be 6 people, but the analogy holds true. If you hang out with a group of geniuses and you're the dumbest one there, you're going to be a dumb genius. That's cool. You hang out with a bunch of dummies, you might be the smartest dummy. What would you rather be? A dumb genius or a smart dummy? So you have to look at how you do what it is you do. And that's where your strength is going to come in. What is it, your foundation? What are you building yourself on? Do you put things into your life as far as, are you reading? Are you spending time reading? Are you spending time eating good food? Are you spending time, do you work out? Do you take care of yourself? Do you prepare yourself for work? Whatever your work is, do you prepare yourself? Are you keeping your home solid? Are you being true to yourself and being true to your word? Are you trustworthy? Can people rely on you? All these things is your foundation. All these things that we brought up already on this episode is your foundation. The things that you build up on yourself, the things in which your roots, the soil in which your roots are going to go get nutrients. Where are you getting your nutrients from? Are you building yourself to be an oak, or are you building yourself on shallow, rocky, non-nutrient filled soil? Are you putting things into you that don't have value? Are you eating a bunch of junk food all the time? Are you sleeping in as often as possible and sleeping 12 hours a day? Are you, spending time just watching YouTube or social media all the time, and that's all you put your time into? And then you look back, you're like, man, I wasted the day just Facebooking or Instagramming or YouTubing or whatever it is. I Netflixed and chilled all day long and I got nothing accomplished. You're not digging yourself. Are you consuming more than you're producing? So you have to look at yourself. What is it you're putting into your life in which you are finding that you are not growing and you're not building yourself to be better and be stronger than you were before? Be an oak. Your strength lies in your foundation and your roots. Number 19, experience the serenity of traveling alone. There's something therapeutic about getting in your car or getting on a motorcycle or whatever the case is and just traveling alone. Maybe you have to go somewhere for a business trip and you have to take a flight. As soon as they drop you off at the airport, boom, now you're able to just be in your own world. And yeah, there's people all around you, but you can still be in your own, and you're traveling by yourself. You're taking care of what you need to take care of. I'm looking forward to a trip I'm going to be taking where I'm just going by myself. I'm just getting in the truck and I'm going. Just go be by yourself every once in a while. Get in your own head and get your mind clear. And it's not just because you can sit at home, be by yourself. That's no problem. But you're looking around in the world in which you're in, and you're by yourself, and you start thinking about, oh, I got to get this done. I got to take care of that. I got to get this over here. You get on it. You go and you go travel, and you go find that serenity in traveling alone. In doing that, you're going to be able to have your mind go other places because you're going to start seeing other things happening around you. And you're going to see places in which you haven't seen either in a while or ever. And you're going to start looking at that as a way in which you can start putting things in perspective for your own life. Just go out and go see things by yourself. And then you come back and you say, you know what, I liked that, but I'd maybe much rather have my spouse with me. Or I've done that, that's cool. Next time I want to bring my spouse with me and I want them to experience this now too. It gives you a chance to go out and recon for yourself and open up your mind and not have to think about the things you have going on right now in your world. The stressors. Go get in that car and go get on that motorcycle or go get in your truck or whatever the case may be. And experience the serenity of traveling alone. Number 20, never be afraid to ask out the best looking girl in the room. And ladies, this goes for the guys as well. Never be afraid to ask out the best looking guy in the room. Now, if they say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm married, don't take that personally. Sorry, I'm seeing somebody. Okay? Don't take it personally. No big deal. Because look at this. If you sit there, you sit back and you say, you know what, I'm not even going to go ask that person out. Why not? I don't know. I'm afraid they'll say no. What do you already have? You already have a no. Do you like it? No. You're thinking of the prospect. If you're thinking about, I want to go ask that person out, then go ask that person out. You might get a no, but you know what? You might get a yes. You already have a no. You know what that feels like. But then you're worried about the rejection. It's just the rejection. Now, I'm saying this from somebody who doesn't have to go ask people out anymore. I get that. However, rejection hurts no matter what you do. If I'm going to go ask somebody, hey, would you be willing to go do this with me or whatever? Guy, girl, doesn't matter. And they say, no, I don't want to go do that. Oh. Now, if they come up with a reason and say, well, hey, I'm already going to a wedding this weekend. I'm taking the family there, so I can't go fishing. I totally understand. So I get a little rejection, go find somebody else to go fishing with. That's fine. However, by going and holding myself back and saying, you know what, I'm not even going to ask that person because I'm afraid I'm going to be rejected. Well, you already have a no. You're already rejected. You might as well go for it and try to take it. And if they say no, okay, then no it is. Moving on. Go find the other best looking person in the room. But what if they say yes? What if? Never be afraid to ask out the best looking girl or guy in the room. Because you never know what's going to happen with that. You never know what will happen if you do get a yes. Or if you get a no, what's going to happen? Maybe they're going to think about it like, man, I didn't realize that. And I just, you know what? I think I'm going to go see if they're still up for that. And then they come back later on. You know, we talked about that. You asked me out. Are you still up for that cup of coffee or whatever? You never know. Take the chance. There's no detriment to it other than your ego. And we have to subordinate that ego every once in a while. Number 21. This one's self-explanatory. And if I have to go into detail with it, then you know this absolutely applies to you. But number 21. Have good breath. Simple, easy. Brush your teeth. Get a breath mint, chew some gum. Don't talk so close to people that they feel the breath coming out of your face. Gives people some space. And if I can still smell your breath from the space that you give me, you absolutely need to have a breath mint. Get an Altoid, whatever the case may be. Have good breath. Number 22. Dress above your station, and a jacket always adds class. If you go out, and there is so many people that we see nowadays, especially with all the cameras and all the videos and everything that's out there. If you see people going out wearing pajama pants and Crocs and going to Walmart, what is your first thought? Now, I'm not saying wear a tuxedo whenever you go out and do whatever it is you're going to go do. But you should at least look presentable. No, Ken, you shouldn't care about what people think of you. You're right. You shouldn't care about what people think of you. You should care about what you think of you. Dress a little above your station. Oh, that's kind of old-fashioned to say where your station is. Nobody tells me where. Yes, you have a station. Now, you can be above that, and you can break out of that. We're not stuck in the class system like they were back in the 1300s or the Renaissance or anything like that. You have an opportunity to everybody can crawl out of wherever they are. There are people who grew up poor and in the ghettos or in the barrio or in the projects or poor with nothing to their name, and they crawled out of that and they became something. They made something of themselves because they did it with passion. Now, those people went out of their station. Now you say, well, I don't have a station. You do have a station. You talk to some people one way and you talk to other people another way. Let's say your brothers and sisters, let's take people in law enforcement once again. You talk to the guys and the girls that are on the same line as you talk to them one way. If you need to go talk to the chief about something, you're going to talk to him a little bit differently with some respect and you're going to have hold yourself a little bit differently, correct? Those are stations. These are the stations that I'm talking about. Now, the chief might say, I have an open door. It's all right. You don't have to call me sir, and have a seat. Oh, yeah. And you have a conversation and everything's great. Cool. That is good. However, you still show respect because you know your station. So now that I have stations out of the way, you can still climb out of that and you can become beyond that, but dress beyond that station. Dress above that station. And if you're not sure and you're like, hey, what's the dress code for this event that we're getting ready to go to? I don't know, but I think collars are, self-explanatory. We should have a collar. All right, well, I'm going to wear a jacket too, just in case. You don't know. If you show up overdressed, own it. Own it. So be it. Then you're overdressed. But if you go there and you realize, oh, this is a pool party and you're wearing a tux, what can you do? You can always say, hey, can I borrow a pair of shorts? I'll be happy to jump in the pool. But if you show up to a black tie function and you're wearing the Bermuda shorts, you're sticking out. Right? So dress above your station. Hold yourself a little bit higher of a standard. The jacket will always add class. Number 23, try writing your own eulogy. Never stop revising it. Now, this is something that I remember somebody bringing this up and saying, hey, write your own eulogy. And I thought, man, that's so dark. I wouldn't want to do that. But I wouldn't want to. That's a hard thing to do. To write about yourself. Hey, Ken always did this and he was this way and we're going to miss him. We're going to miss this thing that he always said. And because you know why? Because our ego gets in our own way and we're thinking, man, am I really that way? A lot of people would write a eulogy and it would be just this, this person could have been better doing X, Y, Z. And if they're writing their own eulogy, right? And then people would look back and say, well, that's not you at all. Because a lot of times we don't see ourselves as other people see us. We don't know the impact we have on other people. Because we know our worst faults and we know the worst things that we've done. But if we write that, and then as we go through it and we see something else happens in our life, now you can go back and be like, okay, I need to revise this. Never stop revising after you write your own eulogy. Now somebody may be able to get it, let's say after you pass away and they get it and they're looking at like, wow, he wrote this eulogy about himself. I can't say that they're going to read your eulogy, but they might take a part from it and say, this is what he thought of himself. We know that this is actually how we loved him and we are going to miss this thing of him. Try writing your own eulogy. Just try it once. And as you do it, you can go back and you can revise that and you can fix it. You can say, you know what, I'm going to try it again. Because once you do it once, you may very well want to do it again. And it's very surreal thinking about your own death, thinking about how it is that you are going to be remembered, the legacy you're going to leave behind. But don't stop revising it because you always have the opportunity to adjust that legacy, to make it better, to help other people, to let those roots go deep and get more nutrients so you can provide more for others. Number 24, Thank a veteran, even if you are one. They give everything. And you'll see a veteran, maybe missing an appendage, or they're having a hard time because they're struggling with some PTSD or some other kind of trauma, or the fact that they left their family for months to years at a time to maintain the freedom that we have. Now, there's arguments out there to say, well, from every skirmish we've had since Vietnam, it hasn't really affected America, and those are just wars for the government, blah 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 blah. Okay, maybe they are on some level a government thing, but Edmund Burke said, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. So if these good men decided, nope, we're going to be fine, I'm going to do nothing, I'm going to stay in my country and I'm going to do nothing, as communists overrun southern Vietnam and try to take it over, as communist China tries to take over Korea, as all these other countries try to invade each other or hurt our American citizens in South America during the 80s. As Saddam Hussein tried to invade Iraq and kill and slaughter and destroy Kuwaitis. I apologize. I just said when Saddam Hussein tried to invade Iraq, he was Iraq. They tried to invade Kuwait. Little disclaimer there. Nevertheless, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean. Where these people that are doing horrible things are trying to overlord over somebody else, and now they're taking away this ability for these people to do what it is they need to do or want to do. And who else is capable of doing that? Of being there to be a shield, to be a defender of the weak, to be a defender of those who can't defend themselves. And additionally, if those things were not handled as they came up, and it would be just the way that Nazi Germany grew to power. These people, they took one thing, then they took another thing. They grew, got a little bit bigger, took another thing, got a little bit bigger, and now tried to continue to take and take and take and take. Pretty much, there's somebody at your front door because you've done nothing for all this time, and you're waiting for I'll just wait till it comes to my door. It's here. It's there. If there's another human on this planet, it's at your door. By letting wrong happen, by letting evil try to control other people, American interests or not, you're effectively allowing evil to exist. And for good men to do nothing during that time is letting evil actually grow. Now you take our American soldier, you take our veterans who decide to go over and help other people because their country said, hey, this is what we need to do. And so I love America. I'm going to go over to whatever foreign soil and I'm going to defend freedom. I'm going to defend democracy. I'm going to defend the republic that is the United States of America. Without those people willing to go on that front line, we would not have the country we have. And I say it every time when I have on the podcast. We show respect, gratitude, and love and thankfulness to those people that serve other people and their country. Because without them, we wouldn't have what we have. So thank those veterans. Thank those people. Even if you are one. Even if you are that point where I just got done with my tour and I'm getting out. I'm good. Nobody thanks me. I don't need to thank anybody. Well, who cares if nobody's thanked you? Be that person that starts thanking people. Maybe some people will start thanking you because they start realizing you are a veteran or you are somebody that sacrificed to serve other people. They're taken away from their families. They're sometimes disrespected, most of the time disrespected. They're putting their life on the line. And they deserve at least a thank you. Much less anything else that we need to be giving them. But at least a thank you should go their way. So thank a veteran even if you are one. Number 25. After writing an angry email or post, read it carefully, then delete it. What does that mean? That means you might be willing to just tear into somebody because they're doing a horrible job, or you don't agree with them either on Facebook or on Instagram or whatever, Twitter, or they're at work and they're doing a piss poor job and you're not satisfied with what they're doing, or they said something to you. Now, everybody has emotions, and they get to us. And you might want to say something to these people. You're an idiot. You're stupid. I can't believe you think that. How come you can't do whatever, XYZ, blah, 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 blah. You might write it down. You might actually have it sitting there typed out, and you're ready to send it. Read it. Reread it. Listen to how you are coming off. Once you've read it, maybe even put it away for the night, come back to it in the morning, reread it. And carefully, too. Not just, okay, yeah, I know what I wrote. No. Reread it carefully. As you go through that, you start looking at it and you start seeing the depth of it. Where is this coming from? What is this going to accomplish? What is the end result in this? How is this going to make them feel? Is this just going to bolster your ego? Once you've carefully read it, then delete it. Delete it later, but delete it. Don't send it. Write that angry email or write that angry post. Call somebody out. Then delete it. Oh, but they'll never know how I really feel. What's it matter if they know how you feel? You're going to one-up them. You're going to win. Or do you really think you're going to change their position on something? Especially on Facebook or on social media of whatever kind. Write that angry email. That's fine. Have it. You might even print it out, save it for yourself. So then you can look back at it later on and say, man, what an idiot I was. What an egotistical, arrogant jerk I was by writing that thinking I know everything. Bottom line is you be the bigger person. You be the better person. After writing an angry email or post, read it carefully, then delete it. Don't keep it. Get rid of it. Number 24. Ask your mom to play. She won't let you win. Nevertheless, ask your mom to play. Cards, catch, whatever. You're going to be surprised. This is for the guys out there. Especially younger guys, teenagers, whatever the case may be. You'll be surprised to find out that your mom can be heartless let's say at a game of Uno or War. You think, all right, we're stuck here. It's pouring down rain. We're in this camper. All right, I'll play a game of cards, Mom. Whatever the case may be. you'll find out really quick that your mom, she loves you to death. She wants you to crash and burn on this game of Uno, or she wants you to crash and burn on this game of war. If she knows how to play a video game and that's what your thing is, she will do everything she can to watch you not beat her. Now, I don't know too many women that play video games that are moms. I'm sure there are some. But because they're too busy actually producing to go play video games so much. But ask your mom to play. Hang out with your mom. Spend some time with her. And she will obliterate you in whatever game that you want to play. But that's all right. The fact that you're doing it, having fun with it, makes all the difference in the world, because what's it matter if she wins? What's being defeated? Your ego. Your ego. Number 25. Manners make the man. Be polite. Be nice. Provide service to others. Don't make a spectacle out of yourself for your own ego. As Jack Dalton, or otherwise Patrick Swayze, said, be nice until it's time not to be nice. Have manners. Don't eat like a pig who's not eaten in days, and you put him in front of a trough. When you go out to a restaurant, you go be that guy that I was talking about earlier that just grazes in front of the buffet table. Have some manners. Have some couth. Be polite. Care about others. Hold the door. Hold the chair. All these things that we've talked about so far today, they're manners. They're going to make you the man that you are, that you want to be. And the same thing for the ladies. Your manners are going to absolutely have an effect. They are going to be what needs to be, what defines your character. Have some manners. Manners make the man. They will explain your character. They will explain who you are. They will explain your why. Number 26. Give credit. Take the blame. Somebody says, oh, you're part of a team. And they say, oh, that was so fantastic. You guys got this project done so fast, so well, so good. It was, oh, wow. You don't sit there and say, well, I know if it's because of my leadership or because I was on the team that we were able to get this accomplished this way. No, you give it to everybody else. And you say, you know what? Honestly, this wouldn't have been able to happen had it not been for this person over here, that person there, and that person there, because they have these XYZ skills that need to be used to make this happen. And without them, we could have had it. I'm just lucky enough to be on this team because I'm learning so much from these people. Give them the credit. Now, when a problem comes up, when there's an issue, and blame needs to be cast, take that blame. Hey, this project didn't get done in time the way it needed to get done, and I want to know why that is. Well, that would probably be my fault. I didn't explain it to my teammates, or I dropped the ball in this part. They were on track, and I did something that messed the whole thing up, or whatever the case may be. Doesn't matter. You give the credit, you take the blame. If it's good, other people get it. If it's bad, take that. Take that. Own that. Say, well, but what if it's not my fault? Are you part of the team? Does it affect you in any way? Was it a success? So yes, no. Were you part of the team? Yes, I was. Was it a success? No, it wasn't. Why is that? Somebody didn't succeed in that, in what they were doing. Might as well be you. Take that blame. Take that. Give credit, take the blame. Number 27. Stand up to bullies. Protect those bullied. Oh, but I don't know how to fight, Ken. I'm not a fighter. You're a fighter. It doesn't matter. You're a fighter. If you have it in your heart to serve other people and protect other people and help other people, you have it in your heart to stand up to bullies. Because you know what's going to happen? You've already spent your life surrounding yourself with people who are going to support you. If you have that, people are going to see that in your character. But what if I'm traveling and I'm by myself and I see a problem? You stand up to bullies. Now, the bullies that you see in movies and the stuff you see where, there's horrible 80s movies where all of a sudden the guy's just sitting on a bus and then a group of guys comes in and they start beating up somebody. They start messing with people and whatever, and the hero has to be there and use all their martial arts skills and win the day and save everybody's life and stuff like that. That is so rare. That is absolutely rare. However, that sort of thing can happen. And there's one of my guests a while back, John Hartle. He had that exact thing. He stood up for what was right. He called somebody out for I think they were hitting their child in public or whatever the case was, or they were trying to pick a fight with other people at a mall, or I forget the exact bit of the story. However, he stood up for him and he said, "Hey, why don't you knock that off?" And the person was getting ready to come at him, and he's like, "I guess I'm going to have to get in a fight here." Yeah, you stand up for him, and you know what? You might have to fight. And you know what? You might not win that fight. But that doesn't mean what you did was not right. That doesn't mean what you did was not good. You do what's right because it's the right thing to do. Bottom line, you do what's right because it's the right thing to do. You stand up to bullies and you protect those that are bullied. And if you can't do it, somebody will see, there will be other people there that will come along at some point and see that you are standing up to protect other people, and they will support you. But if you stand up to them, know that what you're doing is right. You might not win. You might get beat up or worse. But what you did was right. Because if you hadn't done it, who would have? Nobody. Stand up to bullies. Protect those bullied. Number 28. Write down your dreams and don't hide them. You have dreams. You have desires that you want to do with your life. You have things if you've thought about doing your whole life and you don't do them, you put them away for something else. For some reason, you decide to hide them. You don't want to do them. You need to take those dreams and go live them. Go try to do them. Share them with people so they can help you go do those things. Whatever your dream is. I don't know. Everybody's different. Another side of that is knowing what your dream is. Have you ever always dreamed of going, I don't know, to Mount Rushmore and base jumping off Mount Rushmore? I don't know. If that's a thing, I guess it could be. Whatever the case may be, if your dream is there, write it down. People can see it. Once you manifest that into something, you start bringing it, you start breathing it life, you start giving it some life, and you're like, hey, this is something that I want to do. I do want to go, save up so I can take a trip to Fiji, or I want to go visit the castles in Scotland at some point, or I want to go backpack across Europe or across the United States, or I want to have this career or that career, or I want to, whatever your dream is, write it down and don't hide it. Share it with people. Let people know this is what you want to do. Your dream is to do this. whatever it is. And everybody has a different one. But if you don't do it, you're going to look back at your life and say, you know what? I could have done this, and I never did. When you're physically capable and able to do something, go do it. Write it down. Don't hide it. You have that dream, write it down. Put it on the fridge for everybody to see, or put it on your mirror when you're brushing your teeth in the morning. You can continue to read that and reaffirm yourself, your mindset towards it. Write down your dreams. Don't hide them. Number 29. Add value everywhere you go. Add value. What are you doing when you go out? What are you contributing? Or are you just going and consuming wherever you go? Do you ever speak into somebody else's life? Do you ever hold a door? Let's say you're just going to the grocery store. And you're going there and you're just going to go get some groceries. That's all you need to do. And you're going to get your stuff and then you're going to leave. That's fine. Can you add value while you're there? Can you, if you're taller, can you reach a top shelf for somebody that's much shorter than you? If you're physically capable, are you able to bend down and pick up a thing that was dropped for somebody who's a little older, maybe a little more infirm than you? Are you able to add value in anything that you can go do? In everything and everywhere you go? Or do you just go and expect to be fed and consume everything all the time? Do you go to church and you just go and sit there and listen and then leave? Or do you do something with that? Do you try to help other people there? Do you try to serve while you're there? Or at work, do you just do your job and go home? Do the bare minimum that you were hired to do? Or are you exceptional in your job? And you not only add value, but you are adding now to your skill, which will then add to your value, which will then add to your skill, and see how that goes. Are you adding value in everywhere you go? Are you providing something for other people and not just for yourself? Add value everywhere you go. Number 30, be confident and humble at the same time. You've heard me talk about subordinating your ego. Throw your ego away. Get it out of there. But if I do that, Ken, how will I ever know that I'm doing something right? Well, you can be confident. You can be confident in what you do. You just don't have to make it all about yourself. Be humble. You walk into somewhere, you can walk in confident, knowing that you do right. You're adding value to what you're doing. You know what your dreams are. You stand up. You're willing to stand up to bullies. You do all these different things. Your manners are making the man. You did not send that angry email. You've written down your eulogy and you're trying to develop the legacy that you're going to leave. You're dressed well. Your breath doesn't stink. You're confident in who you are. But at the same time, you're humble. If somebody says, man, that was a fantastic thing you did. Thank you. But I didn't really do anything. It was just really the people that I work with. It was their thing. You be humble. Say, oh man, that is an awesome car you drive. Oh, thank you. I didn't really, it's just a car. I really like the color or whatever the case may be. It has nothing to do with you. You be humble about it. But at the same time, you can be confident. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. You want to check out my car? You can, dude, check this thing out. Isn't that cool? And you put them in that seat, put them into that point where you're building them up. You've heard me say it before that there was a guy that, if you've listened to the podcast, obviously, you've heard me say it. There's a guy that he said he'd met Adolf Hitler and he met Winston Churchill. he said about them, he said, when you spoke with Adolf Hitler, you felt like what he put off, the confidence he had, you made you feel that he could accomplish anything he wanted to. He could conquer the world. But he said when you talked to Winston Churchill, he made you feel like you could accomplish anything, like you could conquer the world. It's where you're putting it out. It's what you're doing. It's how you're giving to others. That's what the difference is. That's who you are. Be confident and humble at the same time. Number 31, refuse to be ordinary. Now you can be, I talked about earlier being weird, being different, and you can be weird and you can be different, that's fine. But don't be so ordinary that we go way back to the beginning when I talked about on number 3 when I said special things, especially people, cannot be mass produced. Well, you don't want to be ordinary. You don't want to just be a mass produced, ordinary, everyday thing. One time I was down in Las Vegas and I was staying at some friends down there, and they had a park over by their house. And this park had like a trail that went all the way around it, but there were stations, like workout stations at these trails, along the trail. And you could sit there and you can do, however many, reps or whatever of something. And then you run to the next one and you do so many, whatever exercise. And it had various different kind of, apparatus that you could do these exercises on. And it was pretty cool. And so and it's blazing hot, it's Las Vegas. It had to be August. So I'm thinking, 100 something degrees. And so I go and I'm doing it. And I did a couple of the exercises and I move on to the next one. And this guy was near it. And this guy goes, "Hey man, what do you do? Are you like an MMA guy or something like that? Or you do what's your deal? I noticed you've done all these and it's 100 degrees out here today." And I said, "Nah, man, I'm just a guy. Just a guy doing stuff." He goes, "No, you're something more. There's something more than that. You're not just some guy." I said, "Nope, just a guy. You're not an MMA fighter or whatever." And I said, "Nope. No, I'm just a guy." And he didn't believe it. He wouldn't believe it. Refused to believe it. And then I, didn't talk to him at all. After that, and I just moved on to the next station, did my thing, moved on to the next one. And I've never seen that guy again in my life. But the thing that sits in my head is that because I was doing something that wasn't ordinary, not something that an everyday person does, he says, you got to be something different. Because this isn't something that everybody does. So it's not about being weird, so weird that your character doesn't shine. So you have to color your hair crazy and you have to have all sorts of piercings and you have to look weird. But it's the things that you do that are a little bit out of the ordinary that make you want to be different by saying, I'm willing to run towards danger than sit back and let somebody else protect me. Or I'm willing to do this thing because I see the intrinsic good in it and I want to become better for it. When you do something like that, you are no longer ordinary. So refuse to be ordinary because there's something inside of you that says, I need to be better and I need to be more, and I'm willing to do for other people what they can't do themselves. Refuse to be ordinary. Number 32, change the world. Don't let it change you. Too often we go through life and we're just willing to let everything that happens just happen. And so we don't change it. We just let it happen to us. It's like, oh, well, that's just the way it goes. That's how things happen. And I refuse to let that be okay, because our intent is to change the world. We shouldn't let it change us. Because if you look at the news or you look at anything anymore, you see how horrible and how evil the world is becoming. with all these mass shooters out there, it's almost as if we can't have a stinking parade without some jackass deciding they want to shoot the place up or drive through it. We can't even have our kids at school and feel safe about that because some jackass is going to do something. Or we have all these people deciding that riots and protests and all this different crap is better and more important than actually doing something. But running through the street, burning down buildings and crashing something is better than actually doing something and helping other people be better by having bettered yourself first so you can share that with other people. And see, that's the thing, is we need to change the world and not let it change us. We can't be so bitter because we see all the crap going on and say, you know what, that's just how it is, and so I hate everybody because everybody hates everything. No, be better. You know, I see these things on YouTube or on social media, and that's just easier to just bury my face in the phone and see what everybody else is doing than to actually go out and be one of those people that tries to make something better for other people and support other people and maybe change a mindset to help somebody see things from a different angle. Change that world. Be there, be physically capable of actually helping somebody be better. Change the world. Don't let it change you. Number 33, only perfect practice leads to perfection. Now, you've heard the saying, practice makes perfect. No, that is incorrect. Only perfect practice makes perfect. Because I can practice all day, and if I'm not putting the effort into my practice, then what's the point? I'm not getting any better. I remember when I was a kid, we used to play soccer. My mom would take us to soccer practice after school, and we'd have to be there. We could ride our bike because at one point we lived close enough to the school that this practice was being held at, and we were able to go to it. And then we'd ride home, and my mom would say, "How was practice?" "That was all right." Do I remember anything really substantial about those practices? Not really, because it was just go there and go play. I remember my coaches making fun of me because I used to kick the ball with the tip of my shoe, and so it would always go at some weird angle instead of kicking with the instep of my foot, right? But they had to make fun of me. They didn't teach me anything on it, and so what I did is I never really learned that until later on, and I started realizing, oh, I see what they're saying. Nevertheless, but if I wasn't practicing well, I never got better. If I just went to practice and put time in and checked the boxes, and then when I get done, like, yeah, I went to practice. Yeah, I practiced. I was talking to a guy earlier who was saying, oh yeah, I work out. I go work out all the time. Oh yeah, what do you do? Because he's making fun of me I was doing a very difficult workout. And he said, oh, I might go do a couple reps on the bench and then sit there another 5 minutes after, looking through Facebook. I'll do another couple reps, and that's my thing. Or I would go and I'll just be on the treadmill for 50 minutes to an hour, and I just look at TikTok videos and realize, oh, hey, I'm done. Okay, I'm done. You're just checking boxes. But once you put perfect practice into practice, that will lead to perfection. If you want to get better, you have to get better. If you want to do more, you have to do more. If you want to be able to be a good writer, let's say you want to be a good writer. Can you just do that based off of articles that you've read or Facebook posts that you've read or Twitter or tweets that you've read? Are you going to become a better writer because of that? No. You have to go through classes. You have to actually write. You should be well read because you see what other people are writing. And I'm not talking articles. I'm talking books of substance. Practice that. Practice your craft, which kind of goes back to what it was before. Write down your dreams and don't hide them. Write that stuff. And then writing down even your practice. What did you do? Go back and say, okay, I practiced. This is how much I did of whatever. And that will make you better. But perfect practice. Learn how to practice better. Learn what will make you better. Not just go through the motions and go through the movements, but actually have a mindset and a spirit of, I'm going to train really hard, or I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to go overboard with it so I can really train myself to be better. That perfect practice will lead to perfection. Number 34, run with joy. Now, running is not always some people's favorite thing to do, but go do it with joy. And that just doesn't just mean running. I'm talking marathons or whatever, 10Ks or 5Ks or whatever, but running with joy. Run with it. Go with it. Do what you do it with joy. Which takes us back to one that we had prior, where we talked about your passion. Whatever you're going to do it with passion. Well, in this case, if you're going to run with something, if you're going to do something, do it with joy. And that's like the saying, hey, I'm going to let you go run with this. Okay, I'm going to go run with this. That's the running that we're talking about here. Go run with joy. And sometimes you need to just run around as a little kid. How often do you see little kids just running in circles and they're giggling and they're laughing? We have to go back to that point at some time. But you also have to go forward with what we're doing and have joy in what you're doing. If you're not having joy in what you're doing, there's no point in doing it. Now, of course, there's times that you don't want to be doing whatever it is, but you got to find some joy in it. You got to find it. And there's some there. I know a girl who she does some work, and she gave up a different job that she was struggling with for this job, thinking this one was going to be better because it paid better. But she is struggling with it. She's not finding any joy in it. And it's just complaint after complaint. You need to find joy in what you're doing. And if you're not finding joy in it, you're not going to do it well. Why would you want to practice something perfectly to get perfect if there's no joy in any part of it? Even if it's the end result, the joy in the prize that you get at the end. Let's say somebody training for an elite athlete type scenario, say an MMA thing or Olympian or whatever. There may not be joy in every single practice, but they're practicing perfectly because there's going to be joy at the end. You might be in a relationship with somebody that not every day is going to be the best. There's going to be struggles. There's going to be financial issues. There's going to be drama or whatever. But if more often than not you find the joy in what you're doing, the joy in running with this person or being with this person, then that's where it matters. So run with joy. Finding what you're doing, finding joy in it, finding love in it, finding goodness in it. Run with that. That's where it counts. That's what matters. And one you've all been waiting for, the last one. I don't know if you've all been waiting. Nevertheless, number 35, always know I have your back. Always know it. And this is talking to kids, parents talking to their kids, husbands talking to their wives, wives talking to their husband. Kids, adult children talking to their elderly parents, or adult children talking to their parents. It may not be necessarily elderly, but always know I have your back. If you're in a relationship with somebody, with other people, you need to have their back. If you don't agree with what they're doing, you need to be willing to say something. But you have a relationship with them, so they will listen to you. But they will know that you have their back in the issue. You're looking out for their best interest. You have their back. Mm-hmm. And they can depend on you. And we have a ton of heroes that we're always talking to on here who go out, they're struggling to do whatever it is they do, they get shot, or they get burned alive, or they go through some major traumatic incident, whatever the case happens, they continue to say, you know what, I'm still willing to have the back of the people because I want to see other people succeed. I want to see them go become better. I want to see them more and be more. And that is important to know, that you have somebody in your corner ready to do something for you. Because if you're going and you feel that you're doing this alone, it's going to be very difficult, especially when the time gets tough, to sit there and say, okay, I got to keep going. No, when you know somebody's supporting you and they're going to come alongside you, or they're going to continue to feed you, or they're going to continue to encourage you or inspire you, you're going to be able to continue going. Your why is going to be bolstered more because knowing that you have someone in your back. So be that person that other people can trust, so that you can say to those people in your life, those 5 important people in your life, or the people in which you develop who you are from, that you can now say, always know, I have your back. These are important for parents. These are important for kids. These are important for men and women, husbands and wives, police officers, firefighters, teachers, veterans, nurses. Not only do you have our back, but we have your back. So, if you want to get a hold of the What's a Hero podcast, you can find us on all social media platforms that you can think of. Well, at least the main ones. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find us there. You can find the What's a Hero podcast on the What's a Hero podcast.buzzsprout.com. There you have all of our previous episodes and links to your favorite podcast platforms in which you can go there, subscribe. You can download your favorite episode or every episode from there, have it with you while you're on your trip by yourself. You can listen to it, or while you're doing anything. You can have that, download it. It helps our numbers. It helps us look good, and helps me maybe one day get some sponsors for the show, which I am looking at doing. So if you have anybody that's interested, I am interested in talking as well. But I don't know if I'm supposed to ask that stuff on a podcast, but oh well. Anyways, you can find us there. You can always join the conversation. You have questions, you have answers, you have comments on the podcast. You can either do it on the social media platforms in which I talked about before, or you can even put it in the reviews on, let's say, whatever Apple podcast, or whoever you listen to the podcast on. And then I think it would be awesome just to be able to go back and forth and answer some questions, or have a conversation with people about that sort of thing. So ask those questions. It's great. It works for us. It works for you. And we should have fun with it. So to those people who continue to serve, police officers, firefighters, nurses, teachers, veterans, those guys on the border patrol, Secret Service, I mean, all the alphabet soup departments, thank you so much for everything you guys do. Without you guys and girls out there continually fighting on the front line to keep our country what it is, to keep our families safe, and to want to be better, to want to be that hero, to want to be that person that other people can look to and rely on and have faith on and faith in. We thank you. We thank you for who you are and what you are. So I know this episode was a little bit different. I know this one was a little bit longer. However, there's a lot of good stuff in it. And there's a lot of things that we as heroes need to remember that we can do, that we can be better, we can continually try to improve ourselves, and we can remember that what we do is not for ourselves, but for other people. So, for all you people out there who continue to fight the good fight and do what's right, thank you so much. We appreciate you. And I have been Ken Frownfelter, and this has been the What's a Hero podcast. We are clear.